Hello everybody, I'm the Coaster Composer and welcome to a brand new series that I'm calling
Random Coaster Soundtrack.
In this series, I will make a score to a completely randomly chosen roller coaster in a randomly chosen genre. The way I'm going to do this is first, I spin a wheel that gives me a number. Second, I will refresh the roller coaster database that many times and choose whatever random roller coaster it gives me. From there, I will spin a second wheel that will give me the genre I'm doing. So, without any further ado, let's get to the wheel.
Alright, here we are at our first wheel. Before we spin it, let me just throw some rules here on the screen. Alright, let's give our first wheel a spin. 9. So let's refresh the RCDB page 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, Aquaman Power Wave. This should be an interesting one. And what type of soundtrack are we giving it? Alright, a science fiction score. That should be pretty easy considering that Aquaman and most superheroes kind of loosely fall into science fiction anyways. So, I will see you again in Ableton Live. Alright, so here we are in Ableton Live. Thankfully, Six Flags Over Texas has posted an official POV, so I'll be using that to score to. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my different important points here. So, everything from dispatch to the big splashdown, all those things will have a set marker here on my timeline, so I can kind of score to them. I'll be back once I've done that. Alright, so I've got all of my important markers here. So I'm thinking for this, since it's science fiction, we're going to try to lean heavily into like hard-hitting synthesizers and punchy drum machines, etc. Thankfully, I'm already good at that. So, I'm going to write myself a big heroic melody that will act as Aquaman's theme. That we're going to start with it being kind of minor key and spooky here in the beginning. And then we're going to reuse it again, mostly with just action drums and pulse-pounding synths throughout, and then finally it will return in a major key sounding big and heroic as we return to the load station after our big splashdown. As you can see, we've also got a 2/4 bar here right before the big splashdown. That way we can have that big splash right on the downbeat and it'll be a nice satisfying crash. So, with all that said, I'm going to get back to you when I have a melody. Alright, I've got myself some chords, a melody, and a bass line that I really enjoy for the main portion of this ride. So, here's what I got as far as my, opening melody here. We start with just some chords, and then we give that nice sci-fi melody. So, my plan is I'm going to put a riser here. I'm thinking actually an orchestral one, because that'll be a more interesting texture to add on top of everything. So I'm going to add that orchestral riser here, and then through these little sections here, these little gaps, I'm going to add riser effects and such. Alright, so I've added some impacts and some cool sci-fi sound effects thanks to Hybrid Tools 4 here, which goes quite nicely alongside the pads that I've put in from Ethereal Earth. Added in some new percussion as well, so that you kind of get that nice extra sound there, kind of give it that cool edge to it. So with that, I'm thinking I'm gonna add some more arpeggiators in here, just to kind of give it some atmosphere, some character, let it kind of have more going on, so it's not just that bass sound. And after that, I gotta do some stuff to this splashdown. Okay, so I've done a lot of work within that last gap here. Firstly, I added some orchestral instruments. We've got French horns, trumpets, some additional string runs, and then we got 2 actual violin parts. Other than that, we've kind of grouped everything by its sound type. So all of our synths, all of our basses, which is just the 2, and I've added a nice sub bass to kind of really round out that sound, as well as distorted our main bass sound that we were using before, and added an extra filtered version that kind of gives it like a warning siren-ish feel. Percussion is most of the same as last time. We've added ourselves some new sound effects in here. This down lifter that I got from a sample pack a while ago. Just gonna reverse it and do a bit of a pitch rise here, so that it kind of has a really cool, like, otherworldly feel, and then just play it straight on that actual splashdown. Now, the big thing we need to finish here before I can get a final mix down is I gotta put some more stuff here in this build up to our final splashdown, because as of right now, it sounds a little bit bare. So once I've done that, I will mix everything, just kind of give it a nice, simple, easy mix that should work good for a small speaker, as that's what this would be heard on. And then I will be back with a full mix down and breakdown of everything that I've done, and then we'll play our final soundtrack. Alright, here we are with the final mix down. So what I've done here, as you can see, I've kind of mixed each of my little sections here individually. Let's go to my mixer view so you can see that a little better. So each of my sections are mixed individually, and then of course their bus channel there on the end is then put into a final kind of overall output. Typical mixing as you would. Now, unlike a few other producers, I'm a little lighter when it comes to things clipping, so I tend to keep stuff try to keep it to not go over 0 for distortion reasons, but after that point, I tend to just kind of throw limiters on everything. So each of these has kind of a simple effects chain, right? Just the concert hall for the orchestra to make it sound more realistic. Nothing on the synths because there's already a lot of effects on them on their own. Obviously, because we're working in electronic music, I've put a nice, big, beefy sidechain compression unit on a few different things. It's on the bass channel so that everything ducks out of the way of the kick in the bass department. I also put it on the percussion channel, but specifically just to get everything out of the way of the kick, so that everything isn't interfering with it. And then as far as my main channel, just a simple preset master chain there, and then give myself -6 dB of headroom with a compressor that is also using sidechain compression from that kick drum. So now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Here is my soundtrack to Aquaman Power Wave at Six Flags Over Texas.
Alright, I hope you enjoyed that soundtrack. I enjoyed making it quite a bit. I look forward to doing more episodes of this series, and I hope you look forward to listening to more music that I write with it. With that being said, I'm the Coaster Composer. Keep on writing and keep on riding.